Hello class, this is my presentation of Chapter 3 for this week. So I have chosen to focus on 4 main points of Chapter 3, and those include the roles that gender and race have in society today, body politics, and the colorblind approach to society. So let's just right into it. So while Chapter 3 focuses on gender and race in society, I'm going to focus first on gender. So we all know that there are 2 biological genders, male and female. However, these definitions of gender are growing increasingly fluid with the development of the third gender and transgender communities. The third gender includes those people who do not belong specifically to either of the traditional genders, male and female. And transgender people are those who identify as a sex different than what is considered their biological sex. No matter what sex or gender you may identify as emotionally or biologically, there are basic expectations of what a man and a woman are. Men are meant to be strong, emotionally detached, and in control or powerful, whereas women are usually seen as weak, more emotional, and sometimes submissive. These definitions of what men and women are contribute to the continued separation of people based on gender. These differences in gender affect how we communicate and interact with one another. In Tiffany Jana's TEDx talk about the power of privilege, she mentioned how her gender and ethnicity has affected her in many ways. She says, quote, "I was frustrated that when I walked into a job interview, I had to deal with the stereotypes and assumptions that other people had of me before I even walked in the door. That I had to work twice as hard to be seen as equally competent." End quote. This sentiment that Tiffany Jana shows in her story is one that women across the globe can share in. This is because women are supposed to be polite and submissive that so many times they are overlooked for positions of power and lose to a man. Typically, the gender differences of stereotypes that are relevant in society benefit men. Men are supposed to be powerful, while women are not. It is this power relationship that leads so many employers to choose a male candidate over a female one, or why a male might get more respect in the business world than a woman can. It is unfair that there are these inherent differences in men and women, but a large part of why these differences still exist is because of body politics and nonverbal communication. Body politics are the ways in which our bodies are marked based on things like gender, race, and religion. We as humans create stereotypes of each other based on our bodies and what we do with them. Things that affect these stereotypes can be skin color and clothing style, tattoos, piercings, gestures, and much, much more. When people look at me, they may notice and make assumptions of me based on the fact that I'm a 20-something white woman with long, dark blonde hair. They may pay attention to the fact that I have glasses on or that I'm wearing Greek letters. They may also notice any jewelry I'm wearing or that I have no tattoos or body piercings. These are all basic things that people can make so many assumptions out of, and these are all ways in which I communicate to others what I value and how I identify myself. Every person has attributes similar to mine, but in countless variations, and each of these variations has countless interpretations that can be made by others. A large part of body politics is skin color and this idea of race. We are all guilty to an extent of making assumptions about someone based on their skin color. However, it is this idea of race that causes so much controversy in society. Race does not actually exist. What we consider to be race is actually a combination of skin color, ethnicity, culture, and stereotypes. Race is a socially constructed belief that certain physical traits, namely skin tone, lend themselves to a hierarchical structure based on history. This idea of race is what affects today's society so greatly. In order to combat these differences among race and the unfair hierarchical structure it has created, people have tried to create ways in which to minimize the effects of race on others. One of these methods is the idea of colorblind society. A colorblind society is the belief that the effects of race in the world can be decreased or even eliminated if everyone in the world simply ignored skin tone. In theory, this seems like a good idea. If no one is accustomed to making assumptions of others based on skin tone, then there would no longer be racial injustices and all the people in the world would be equal based on this factor. However, when this theory is put into practice, the results are not exactly what they'd expect. In the article posted on Blackboard titled "In Blind Pursuit of Racial Equality," research was conducted on elementary school students and their ability to recognize racially driven incidents. The study involved students reading one of two versions of a story, a colorblind version or a value diversity version. The colorblind version implemented the idea that we need to focus on how we are similar to our neighbors rather than different. And the diverse version focused on, we want to show everyone that race is important because our racial differences are what makes us special. In the end, the students who read the colorblind version of the story were far less likely to notice or report a racially biased incident, at only 50%, whereas those students who read the diversity version were far more likely to report the same incident, at 77%. With this information, the question then becomes, what is the best approach to promoting racial equality in society? Are there benefits to the colorblind approach, or should we continue praising diversity and place value on our differences rather than our similarities? These are all questions to consider when it comes to societal and global racial equality. So in conclusion, Chapter 3 of our text covers a lot of topics that are relevant to our society today and to many current issues. It is important to understand how gender and race, body politics, and the colorblind approach affect society and how we as individuals make assumptions and interact with one another. Understanding each of these concepts can create a platform on which you can discuss difficult topics with others while leaving biases and preconceived notions to the side. Race, gender, and many other factors of our daily lives should not be a burden for any one of us, but rather a part of ourselves that we feel confident in and celebrate. Thank you.